PFC in one word. I would have to say friendly.
One word. People.
Legit.
Legit.
Opportunity.
Stellar.
Energy. Good energy. But it's one word, so.
Shagalicious has already been taken, so
Awesome.
Delicious.
Food. Decadent. We cook some decadent food. I would say decadent. Decadent, compassionate maybe. Cooperative.
Terrific.
Energetic.
fantastic.
Friendly.
Magnificent.
Fun.
Community.
EFC in one word, community.
Community. Community.
Diversity. Tolerance. Those two, but...
Home.
I first became involved in the co-op in 1998. I started shopping here in 1993 and had a kind of peripheral relationship, but then in 1998 I got more active and started volunteering, doing the newsletter, and then gradually got elected to the board and spent 3 years, a 3-year term on the board, and then I left the board at the end of my term to go look to get a job in food systems work, mostly in New England, and then this job came open as the manager here, and so I took that. Or I applied for that. I didn't just take it. Yeah, it was a process. It wasn't just taking it. Yeah.
Have you always worked in the food system industry then, or?
Well, no, I was a graphic designer before this and got really involved in the co-op and as the volunteer. It really was the co-op that helped me to get more interested in food and food systems. I was really interested in food. I worked as a teacher in China, teaching English and humanities, but got really interested in food there, and then more interested in food system stuff as I got involved here. And then I helped to found Fair Food Matters, which is the organization that has the Can Do Kitchen. 2003, when I started as the manager, our sales were around $400,000 a year, and grew those sales to about $1 million in a store the size of this aisle before we moved into this building. And this year we'll be at about $2.75 million in sales, so pretty good leap. The project was pretty ambitious, but it was also like at this point. We didn't want to just double our size, which the bank was more comfortable with. We needed really to quadruple it in order to be able to serve the community at the next level and have it be serious. Like this is going to work.
Exactly.
And the bank worked with us. They were really supportive and helped us figure it out. Part of why they worked with us is because our owners stepped up with. Between equity and loans, about $750,000.
Oh, wow.
They felt like, oh, well, we can go in on that for, their total investment was less than $400,000 at the bank.
Wow.
So they were fine with,
they
were like, wow, this is a great project. Are you kidding? So that's worked out really well, and we've seen our sales more than double in the first year.
Wow, that's really good.
What sort of stuff did you do to mobilize the community interest in increasing sales that fast?
Yeah, well, I think the first thing was ensuring that the store was abundant and had the product on the shelves, and it felt like you were walking into a rich, full environment where you could find what you needed. You could get it. It was a tiny little store, but we had a ketchup, and we had a relish, and we had had everything you needed. You may only have one choice of those things, but we have it, and that the shelves were full. And I think that we had gotten into a more of a scarcity mentality, fear that we were, fear of cash, running out of cash and things. And in my mostly ignorance, I walked in and said, and I just spent $12,000 on filling the store back up because it felt like it wasn't abundant. And I think people really responded well to that.
Oh, that's good.
And I think the other big thing was just really stepping up our commitment to listening, to asking, what do you need? What does the community need? And what do you expect from us? And how can we do that better? And where are we failing you? And how can we fix that? I think all of that, like creating that dialogue, and that really just has served us so well. I mean, I think the community trusts and believes that we are here for them, for us,
Right.
you know, and so we did this together, and that's like this constant, you know, celebration. Like we didn't, like, it wasn't somebody had this great idea and we did it. We engaged with the community for those 7 years as we were plotting and planning to make this happen. Whether it was building the financial and business acumen of the management, or working with the staff to create an exuberant customer service experience, or just asking the community, what do you want, what do you need, how can we do this better? So constant
really
dialogue. Yeah, fun. Really,
Definitely.
it was just so much fun. So a big thing that we added was fresh meat, not something that we had before. We actually in 2006, I think, did that whole listening thing, resulted in some people responding on our customer survey to a question we didn't ask about meat. Like, we didn't say, what are we lacking and are we missing meat? We said, what are we lacking? And like 16 or 18% of the respondents said meat. And so we started to say, okay, that's something we should be thinking about. And up until that time, for 33 years, we were a vegetarian co-op. And so, but we started having that conversation, which was not an easy conversation. A lot of people, you know, invested in different viewpoints in that, and had some community forums and had some, you know, discussion about that. And it resulted in bringing in mostly local and all humanely raised meat. So we work with 3 or 4 local farms for chicken, pork, beef. Then we also have, you know, now at this point, like the bacons from Applegate and, you know, some other products that are more national distribution, but it's still a very strong commitment to the local, natural, organic.
Nice.
So yeah, and I think people love it. It's just a huge, like, trusting your meat source is really
Well, it's so much
and tough.
nicer helping out a local farmer than it is, you know, one that's way off somewhere else as well.
And we work with, or actually we created the 100 Mile Market, which is a farmer's market that's in our parking lot on Wednesdays from 3 to 7 p.m. From May until the end of October. And that's a great opportunity for people to actually meet some of the farmers that we, you know, like, that's an opportunity where they can come and discuss that and learn about how they grow their meat and buy directly from a farmer too. So it's a great relationship development piece too.
So, what is your thoughts of local and how important that is as a co-op?
Okay, great question. So we, our end statement, our board came up with this great end statement that is my job description, and that end statement is to create access to food that's healthy for people, land, and the economy. So when I think about what goes in this store and our decisions that we make about products, about customer service, about relationships like partnerships like the Can Do Kitchen and things like that, it's like, do these things support, you know, access to healthy food that's healthy for people, for land, and for the economy? So so in particular, the local question is, like, I can tie that in all those places. So locally grown food tends to be harvested closer to the time of consumption, higher nutrient value. We know the source of that food. We can find out how it's grown, and there's a lot of accountability there, and that feels great. Healthy for land. Organic tends to be what we work with, organic growers for our store and produce in particular, and not that carbon emissions of traveling 1,500 miles, that whole thing. So reducing those carbon emissions is healthy for land, and then healthy for the local economy. You know, so our local definition is within 100 miles, so that travel distance is shorter. That the economic development, the economic impact, and recirculation of dollars in the community is greater in that 100-mile area. So it meets all of our goals that way.
Nice.
So it fits in well with our vision, you know.
So would you say, do you have like a percentage to try and keep products in the store that are local, or just in by department, or do you
overall?
Because you only can sell what's available as well.
Right. That's right.
You
sure.
know,
And we never have local bananas.
Right. Exactly.
So but what produce department? What self-respecting produce department doesn't have bananas, right? So, for sure. So we haven't really set a goal, but what we know is that 21% about is what we managed to do as far as total local purchasing. Yeah. And so for last year, that was $245,000 of our purchasing that stayed in the community for this year, if we're able to keep that same percentage. Rough year for produce, especially apples, cherries, given the early warm and then frost and then the drought, and it's been a rough year for local stuff. But so if we're able to keep that, we'd be over $350,000 in local, you know, money going back into the local economy
really nice.
from our purchasing. Then we compound that with the economic impact of the 100-mile market in our parking lot. We compound that with the fact that we are managing the SNAP benefits and Double Up Food Bucks programs at both our market and the Kalamazoo Farmers Market. That's another, you know, about $80,000 in dollars that are, you know, entitlement kind of dollars that are coming into our community and normally would leach right back out by going to Walmart or whatever, but they're staying here and they're going back into our local farming economy and community. So.
People, not profits.
Yeah, food for people, not for profit. Yeah, yeah.
What's sort of your philosophy when you think about that?
Yeah. I mean, that's the goal. Is so as a community-owned grocery store, like none of us are the owner-operator who gets to keep whatever's left over at the end of the year. Right. Every dollar is intentionally spent. And when I do an orientation with all my new staff, we do a pie chart and I show, you know, exactly where all the dollars are going, and that profit that's left, if we're able to keep the 1 to 3%, you know, profit, where does that go? It goes right back to our end statement of creating access to food that's healthy for people and the economy. Whether that's investing it somehow in equipment here, or you know, some relationship with a farmer, or say a microloan program to help extend seasons. We've done that before. Or we're currently looking at a city contract to operate the big farmers market in town. That's a 92 vendor farmers market. And so that would be, you know, that would be some investment in that to make that more of what it could be to serve the community and create better access. So that's the thing, is that like the whole goal is for nobody in particular to profit in this situation, except as a community as a whole, we are like strengthening ourselves and lifting ourselves up. So definitely the goal is food for people, not for profit. So in our old store, which, you know, we were in that store for 35 years. Love that store, and we got every ounce of goodness out of that space for sure over the years.
Sounds like it.
We had only 5 feet of space for deli, whether it was we didn't have a cold food bar like this. We had a small hot bar with 3 items in it, and then we had a case with sandwiches and dips and things like that. So this was a huge leap for us to invest in the deli as a much bigger part of our business, and in that invest in a relationship with the Can Do Kitchen. So the Can Do Kitchen rents a quarter of our building, basically, and in turn we rent time in that kitchen. So their goal is to incubate small entrepreneurial food businesses, and so we serve as an anchor tenant in that. So we're a regular, steady source of income. We don't take advantage of, probably as much as we should, the incubator programs, because we think we got it all figured out. No, that's not true. But but it's definitely intended for like startups, you know, and so we don't take advantage of the incubator programs, but what we do is provide a steady source of income to make that happen. And it's a beautiful, you know, commercial kitchen space in which we can be able to put together a salad bar, be able to put together, you know, 4 different entrees, hot food entrees, and a couple of soups every day, and be able to create sandwiches and dips and salads and sweets and things like that all in-house. So it's about 13% of our business is the deli right now, compared to produce, which is about 16. But that's really the flagship part of the store is produce.
Now, when somebody goes into the Can Do Kitchen to use it, how do they get about selling their items? Is that something you help with then as a store here to sell their products?
They're encouraged to connect with buyers at groceries around town, and Lucy has developed relationships with those buyers. You know, one of the closest relationships happens to be with the co-op, but that's proximity.
Right.
So then, depending on the source of the ingredients and the the different aspects that relate to our buying policies. We may or may not have an interest in that particular product. A couple of products that we do carry that are made in the Can-Do Kitchen. We got Mike's famous Michigan bean dip on our shelves. We've also got Genuine Brew, which is a tea, an iced tea that's made in the Can-Do Kitchen. It's got a couple of flavors. We got the roasted dandelion root and ginger Assam. And they got the little Can-Do Kitchen label on there. So there are others in the store as well, but those are kind of the products that we're loving that incubation is happening right here, and we can talk about local. It's like made 15 feet away, so that's pretty cool.
It's very nice, and you're guaranteed fresh.
Yes,
that close.
Extremely fresh. Yeah. So yeah.
Is there anything that you have that has been made in the Can-Do Kitchen because people asked for it here and it wasn't available, or they wanted it local and there was no local options?
We don't yet, but I think that what we're hoping to do is develop that. For example, a kombucha line that was made in Kalamazoo. I mean, we sell a ton of kombucha, and to be able to, I know it's not, it's in our stores. It's just such a sort of foundation piece at this point. Where 5 years ago, nobody even knew what the word meant. But now it's a critical element. Like when GTs went down for a couple of months, it was like a market decrease in sales. So the thought of like having, for example, Rose Lee, who does these drinks, potentially consider doing some kind of a kombucha line. I think we could have a huge market for that. So we do give that feedback to the Can-Do Kitchen, to Lucy, and say, when you're out there, be looking for these things, because these are things that I know we could do well with. So
that's nice.
Yeah, nice. Yeah, and we'll keep building on that. For sure.
What would you say is the most interesting thing that you make here?
The most interesting thing I make here?
That you sell in the deli.
That we sell in the deli? As a whole?
We've got some pretty interesting salads that we make. Some our alpha, what was it, alpha omega?
Yeah, alpha omega.
That's a pretty funky salad, but it's just packed with so many nutrients. But it's got just, I can tell you what.
That and 3C is the carrots and currants.
And ginger.
And ginger. Kind of weird, but people loved it.
Yeah.
And then I feel like when people do hot food, they all kind of have their own weird twist on things. Everyone here has their own flavor that they always go with. So I don't know. I try to keep it fresh most times. Eventually I run out of ideas. All of our hot food is we have a menu, a set menu. And a lot of times, Mondays are curry day, so we do curried chicken and curried vegetables. And then we used to do a rice biryani, which is basmati with raisins and walnuts, but I switched it up to saffron rice, which is just basmati with saffron threads instead. I think it goes a little better. And then every day we have a roasted vegetable, and that's just kind of choice. Whoever's doing hot food can do whatever they want, as long as you keep it vegan. So we get, we're not super limited, but we are at the same time, I guess.
From time to time, we'll have a volunteer to help us with around here, mostly with dish, so that's always nice. And we just got a volunteer today.
So nice when we're busy.
Do you have a lot of people that want to volunteer?
We have a lot of volunteers. I think most of them volunteer more out in the store than in here, but we have some volunteers that are here almost every day, at least twice a week. And one of the volunteers that's here today, she just got a gift card for the most volunteer hours.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Cool. That's Meg.
Is that the blonde girl?
Yeah, Meg. Yeah. Most of our volunteers are owners of the co-op. So usually, we pick, have a sandwich or whatever hot food they want. It's kind of their little payment for volunteering. We've got to get a little system going. I think we're getting about between 12 and 15 volunteer hours a week is what we usually have. So we've been getting a lot of help, and it picked up over the summer a lot too, which was really helpful.
Yeah, a lot of kids on summer break looking for something to do.
College kids.
Looks good on a resume. And we also do like internships. So people from other delis, other co-ops will come and work with us for a week or 2 weeks or a month. And some kids are like in college and they just are taking a certain course, some sort of health and science course, and they come in and do internships. So,
is there a component of ownership here where you have to volunteer, or it's truly, completely voluntary?
It's truly volunteer.
That's cool.
You just, if you buy an ownership, you pay the set price, and it's a lifetime ownership, and I think it's no strings attached. You just don't have to volunteer if you don't want to, and you don't really have to do anything. You get the perks, of course, discounts, sales, weekly newsletter, all of that.
About being an owner?
Huh?
About being an owner?
Yeah.
This is Lucy, and she is going to talk to you a little bit more about the Can Do Kitchen, and we're going to try and answer any questions that you may have.
So I started the Can Do Kitchen program about 4 years ago because I saw a need for community kitchen space. People were asking for it, and I looked around and I realized there wasn't any in Kalamazoo. So I started thinking about how can we get this started in our community. There's a need for it. I looked around at some different locations and couldn't really find a location that would accommodate this kind of idea. So I applied for this kind of a grant from the Michigan Organic Food and Farm Alliance in Buffin, and they had this trailer. It was 20 feet long, and it had been gutted inside and turned into a licensed kitchen inside, or commercial kitchen.
Okay.
And so we wrote a grant. We got that for 2 years, which was really our pilot project. We were in the trailer for 2 summers. It wasn't winterized, so we couldn't do a year-long program, which is one drawback. And then we found a church that wanted to rent their kitchen to a nonprofit, so that was a really good fit. We were there for about 2 years. We had about maybe 4 or 5 clients in the trailer, including Barb and Tammy. We moved them to the kitchen, and we were able to start bringing a lot more people in year-round, a lot longer hours of the day.
Right.
And that's when we started turning it in from a kind of a community kitchen into an incubator.
Okay.
Because the initial idea didn't really have the incubator component.
Oh, okay.
Well,
so now what?
Just for people that might not know, what is an incubator?
Oh yeah, good question.
Right. What is?
Well, incubator kitchen is a place that creates a really low-risk environment for food producers, a supportive environment. We connect people to business resources, like business counseling, designers, food safety information, all the things that you need to start a business. And we help people take this huge idea, which is really overwhelming, and break it down into doable steps, help them set goals. But the ultimate goal is that the incubator clients will graduate into their own location, and maybe it's a kitchen or a store or a cafe or whatever it is for them, that they're out there creating more jobs, having more economic impact in our local economy.
How did it start with appearing with people? Because this is obviously, you're in the same building, you're in the same space.
Yeah.
So, was that by design, or was that just a lucky accident?
It wasn't lucky. I mean, it is lucky, but it wasn't by accident. Fair Food Matters came from the co-op a long time, about 10 years ago.
Okay.
There were some board members of the co-op that wanted to do more educational outreach in the community and couldn't do that from the co-op at the time. So some people formed a totally separate 501c3 organization, Fair Food Matters.
Okay.
And so we've been kind of connected throughout the years, mostly in vision. We do things differently. We're more education. The co-op's obviously a grocery store plus. But when the Can Do Kitchen started, we realized we needed a bigger location in the church. We wanted our own location. And we knew the co-op was going to be moving, expanding, and that they had a deli and that they would need a kitchen. So I said, I don't know if I said or someone said, why don't we talk about partnering, because we're going to build a kitchen, you're going to build, well, why would we build two?
Exactly.
And we're so aligned.
Right.
So that's how it started, and we had tons of meetings, the board members met, and we just had a whole process that we worked out our partnership. We, oddly enough, we don't really do a whole lot of advertising. It's really a lot of word of mouth. So I think as more people that have come through and seen the kitchen, they tell their friends, because everyone knows someone that has a good recipe that wants to sell it, or they want to do it themselves, and that's kind of where it starts. And people they come in, and we have, every month we have several tours so people can come through and learn about the program.
Wow.
And then they can follow up with us later if they want to actually, use the kitchen.